Ninjago Dragons Rising Season 3 Part 1 has now been out for a couple of days as of the time of filming, and a lot of people are very happy with the season. There are a couple of complaints, but overall, I think it has gone down very well, and people are very happy with it. But there are so many different aspects to this season that a lot of people like and dislike, and a lot of different things that I do want to talk about. And I'm not here to talk about the season as a whole in this video. If you want to hear my thoughts about it, I did upload a review of it last week, so definitely check that out if you haven't. But there were definitely a couple things I missed out in that video because I felt like it deserved its own video. And let's just say Morro is definitely one of them. Now, before I go any further, I do want to say that I don't intend on not talking about certain different things from Season 3 of Dragons Rising. So, there is an official spoiler warning on this video in case you have not seen it yet. So, if you do continue on beyond this point and you hear a spoiler and you haven't seen the season yet, I don't know what to tell you. But I do want to talk about Morro specifically, and how Morro was a redeemed character. Because in my opinion, Morro is the definition of a redemption arc, and I think he honestly has become one of my favourite villains because of it. And well, calling him a villain now at this point is not really a good way to call him. But before I get to where Morro is nowadays, I do want to do a quick little background because, of course, it all coincides with the redemption of Morro himself. So yes, the Master of Wind started out as a bit of an orphan. He was one of the few children that were rummaging around for food in the bins of the local areas, and Morro found himself at the Monastery of Spinjitzu, where Wu found him, fed him, and he officially took Morro in as his first student. And Wu did teach him in the ways of the ninja, and Wu considered him to be, by all accounts, a perfect student, because any obstacle or any task that was in the way of him, he exceeded with absolute excellence. But it wasn't until one day, Wu stumbled upon Morro with a kite, and he was flying it in a very interesting way, because it turns out that Morro himself was the Master of Wind, and well, this was the moment where Wu realized, and in his own words, maybe he should wear green. But the issue is that Wu told Morro this, and the thing is that Morro took it to heart, and he became very aggressive, and he became very arrogant, and he thought he was, well, the best. He thought he was the best of anyone, and he maintained that he's gonna be the Green Ninja. He needs better tests. He needs to be able to be the best. No one can beat the Green Ninja. And Morro even started wearing an emulated version of the Green Ninja suits. But then it came to the point where Wu realized that it was Destiny's time to have its talk in the conversation, and Wu presented the golden weapons of Spinjitzu to Morro, and let's just see if the weapons reacted like it did later with Lloyd. And well, it didn't, but Morro was not willing to accept it. By the way, I'm going to go off script for a second. I want to mention this. So, in this scene where Wu is seeing if Morro was the Green Ninja, Wu is holding the Green Ninja suit, and it was the ZX Green Ninja suit that Lloyd wears. So, the ZX suit is like 50 years old, 40, 50 years old at that point. That's really weird to think about. That suit was really old. And it's time for my crackpot theory. This is my explanation. Obviously, if that suit was so old, and of course, we know that the ZX hood is on the Green Ninja suit, I reckon, because of that scene with Kai, I reckon the whole time the Green Ninja suits had the 1990s Green Ninja hoods, like the pilot suits did, but then once Lloyd, or once the owner of the Green Ninja suit actually came to be revealed, I think Wu then upgraded it to match the rest of the ninjas. But that's my crackpot theory. It explains why there's one scene with Kai in the Green Ninja suit and it has the 90s hood, whereas every other scene with Lloyd has the actual ZX hood. But yeah, that's my crackpot theory. But yes, this did lead to Morro, well, going rogue. He tried to continue to prove he was the Green Ninja. He wanted to prove Destiny wrong. And he started harassing people. He started doing bad things, essentially. He became, by all accounts, a villain. And, well, Season 3 of Dragons Rising really does put a lot of emphasis on the term villain, so I'm very interested to use it at the minute. But yeah, Morro did try to prove himself, and he ended up in the Caves of Despair, where unfortunately he met his untimely demise. And that is where, of course, he was banished off to the Cursed Realm, and where he was into servitude for the Preeminence. And of course, for a while he was plotting his way to free himself of the realm and get back to the realm of Ninjago, but it wasn't until Garmadon opened the door where Morro was able to finally slip out. Of course, insert then the event of possession, where we see Morro be, well, a villain. He was quite a villainous. He was devious. He possessed Lloyd. He took the ninja's powers. He attacked them. He attacked people. He was harassing people. He did everything he could to be, well, bad. But it was all in this mission. He was the Green Ninja by all accounts, and he gave the ninja a run for his money. He beat the Green Ninja. His whole thing is Lloyd didn't deserve those colors. It was Morro's colors. And it was fascinating. Morro is one of the best villains in Ninjago history because of it. But this whole time, there was just this background feeling of he just wanted to prove himself. He just wanted to understand he is the Green Ninja. He is the best. Wu made a mistake. Wu is wrong. Wu betrayed me. Join the club. But Wu did this to him, and Wu did these terrible things, and he can't accept it. He has to prove it right, and he's going to release the preeminence. He's going to turn everywhere dark into the cursed realm, and he's going to be the Green Ninja. And it's an amazing motivation. It's so interesting. He's so driven by the idea that he's the best. He had to prove himself. He is the chosen one. And he became evil because of it, which is the exact opposite, really, of what the Green Ninja stands for. But it was truly apparent that Morro thought that Wu betrayed him, and Wu never cared, and Wu was this horrible person. But it wasn't until he released the Preeminent, and the Preeminent was defeated, and the Preeminent tried to take Morro with her. So Morro was dying, that's the thing, and he was dying again, and that's the whole thing. But the fact is that Wu came back and tried to save Morro. And Morro thought he was just after the crystal, but Wu didn't care for the crystal at that point. It was only a case of trying to save Morro, and he showed that he did care, and he wanted Morro back, and he wanted to show Morro that he was sorry for everything he did. He admitted he was wrong, but Morro knew that he was beyond saving at that point, and he seemingly forgives Wu in that moment. Because in his final words, he says to him that you can only save those who want to be saved. And then he proceeds to say, "Goodbye, Sensei." And he gives him the crystal regardless. And it is possibly one of the sadder deaths, because as Wu's holding the crystal, he acknowledges that he has the crystal in his hand, but he looks back at Morro and he's just holding his hand up, sad. And Wu is mortified in this moment. He's watching Morro die, and he shouts out, and it's honestly one of the more powerful scenes of the show. But Morro seemingly decided that he was wrong, and he didn't really want to be the villain anymore. He accepted he was no longer the Green Ninja in that moment. And it's a really nice story, and it's really interesting. And if Morro ended there, it would have been fine. But we did get him again. Morro was placed, or a statue was placed, in the Hall of Villainy, and Sensei Yang decided to resurrect all of the past villains and gave them a new opportunity at life, and by taking revenge on the ninja. And Wu is immediately dibsed up by Morro. Morro says that he has some business to settle with his former master, and that he is going to take care of it, essentially. So he tracks Wu down to the monastery, and he draws his sword, and Wu draws his staff, and they face off. Not really. Because instead of taking his life back and trading his place in the mortal world with Wu, he warns Wu. He tells Wu what's happening with Yang's plot, Yang what he's doing with Cole and with the rest of the ninja, so they can go reunite them all and they can go get Cole back. And instead of Morro trying to get his place back in the world, he makes his amends. He makes it in firm amends with Wu in this moment, and he peacefully goes back to the departed realm. He could have lived, he could have come back, he could have done everything he could have ever wanted to do, but he didn't. He instead made amends, and he helped the ninja. He was trying to be better. He could have been resurrected, but he never did. And that for a while was the story of Morro. And I'm going to be honest, I think a lot of people believed we were never going to get Morro again. And honestly, it was an amazing ending. He made his amends. He showed Wu that he didn't want to be evil anymore. He helped Wu. He helped them save Cole. Cole would have been gone if it wasn't for Morro. Morro was the one that saved Cole at the end of the day. He put behind all of his aggressions against the ninja, against Wu, against wanting to be the Green Ninja, all those different aspects, and he proceeded instead to help, and he was, well, one of Wu's students again by all accounts. and that only gets amplified because of Dragon's Rising. Because of course the merge happened and we get confirmation that the Departed Realm and the Cursed Realm became one, being the Spectral Lands. And I love this concept. It's the place where all the souls go to pass through to wherever is now next, because it's now confirmed that there is something now beyond the merged realms, and I think that's great. I absolutely love it. It's nice to know what happened to those realms and where all those spirits are now. Let rain rest. But Morro decided that instead of going through to whatever's next, having peace, being able to lay at rest, being gone, he decides instead to stay in the Spectral Lands, and he decides to escort the deceased souls safely into the afterlife by protecting them from soul suckers. And he does this by all account to honor the teachings of Wu, his master, and instead of being at peace, being at rest, being able to enjoy himself in the wherever is next, being able to finally be at peace, he decides instead to channel the teachings of Wu, protect those who cannot protect themselves, and then instead help them pass through. And he risks himself every single day fighting those spectral wolves or those soul suckers, and he helps them all through like a ninja would. And I'm gonna be honest, it's perfect. I honestly think the fact that Morro is able to do this, and he does it in honor of Wu, is kind of perfect, and I can't think of a better ending for a character like Morro. And it's even to the point where he's got his outfit, it's very ninja-like still, it's more updated of course, but it's very ninja-like, and he also, little interesting detail, removed the green streak of hair from his hair, and it's kind of him showing that he no longer is wants to be the Green Ninja. He accepts he's no longer that title, and he accepts that he is Morro. But Morro is amazing as he is. He doesn't need wind. He doesn't need to be green. He doesn't need to be all those different things. He is the protector of the deceased. He is the protector of the Spectral Lands. And he does it well, and he does it in honor of his master. And I can't think of anything better. Then, of course, one day he gets a visit from Aaron. And, of course, he's come to the Spectral Lands to try and get the elixir that will help Raz be able to, essentially not die. And as soon as Morro hears that it's for a master, he understands how important a master can be, and he helps Aaron, and he does all he can to get that elixir for Aaron. That's all it took. All it took was being reminded of Wu, and he was willing to risk everything to be able to help someone he only just met. And he even asks Aaron, hey, if you ever see my master, can you please let him know he was right? And it's one of those things where he's a bit vague with what specifically was right, but we know what it is. He was right about all of his teachings, all of his lessons, Morro's purpose. He didn't need to be the Green Ninja. I think that's ultimately what it was. He was right. He was still his student. He was still the master-student combo. And he still loves Morro very clearly. And I absolutely adore it. Morro has come a very long way, and I honestly think it's one of those things where it's almost perfect. Of course, then we end off at the very end where Morro is coming up because he sees a new soul in the Spectral Lands. And without hesitation, he says, hello. You are now deceased. I know it may come as a shock, but I will help you come to that afterlife. I will help you find peace. I will help you lay to rest. Without any sort of hesitation, he is the guardian of every single soul. And when this massive dragon turns up, he kind of goes, oh, well, you're a big one. But the thing is that it doesn't change the idea, even though Thunderfang says, I can help myself, I can do it myself. Morro's still like, I will still help you. I will get you through to whatever is next. And of course it was the wrong person, but the fact is that it didn't matter to Morro. He was going to help regardless. But then of course Thunderfang does absorb his soul, and that's of course all we now know as of Morro. It'd be nice to think maybe he'll turn up in part 2. Maybe Wu will turn up and he'll be helping defeat Thunderfang, and then we'll see a reunion between Wu and Morro. Who knows? But the fact is that as of now, Morro is a part of Thunderfang. But before that, he was the protector and he was the guardian of the Spectral Lands. But that is the story of Morro, and in my opinion, he is redeemed. He is the best redemption we've ever seen in a Ninjago character. And seeing him go from this young, arrogant, I am the best, I'm the Green Ninja, I will do this, I am the one, to I will protect you, I will get you to the afterlife. I could go there myself, but I won't. I'm going to help you, and I will honor the teachings of my master. I honestly think it's such an amazing arc, and I think by far Morro is probably one of my favorite characters in all of Ninjago. But that is the story of Morro, and it has a lot of ups, and it definitely has a couple of downs, but I would say overall he is one of the best character arcs we have ever seen over the course of Ninjago's history. And I will say, I was very worried to see that Morro was returning in Season 3, but the fact of the matter is that he has been almost perfect. It's one of those things where they picked up where he left off amazingly, and they gave him more, and they really did keep the core value of what he learned over the course of Day of the Departed, which is Wu never hated him. Wu only ever wanted the best for him. He is sorry, and he still loves Morro. And the fact that Morro now realizes it, and all he wanted was to thank him, truly is, in my opinion, the most perfect come around we've ever seen in a Ninjago character. But what do you think of Morro? Do you like him? Do you hate him? Do you like the arc that he's got? Are you happy he returned in Dragon's Rise in Season 3? I would love to know your opinion, and I would like to know who you would like for me to talk about next. But that is about it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Take care. Okay, bye!